Darren, are we live?
All right, here we are. Everybody, we're live. I'm not even going to try to do that other stuff, but we're live now, so this should be able to carry now, Tiff. So, Tiff, you want to take control of this thing, the talking and everything?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
you're staying on.
I'm going to stay on the best I can, but you take control. You can do all the talking and everything, and I'll pipe in when I can pipe in.
Okay. So
Sorry about this.
sorry for the technical difficulties tonight. The wind is whipping really bad where Darren is, and the internet just wasn't cooperating. So
Mhm.
tonight, we have a special guest. It is my president of the NAACP here in Frederick, Winchester, and Clark County. So I'd like to introduce Mike. Hi, Mike.
Good evening, everybody. Great to be on your show, Tiffany.
Thanks. Um, so I brought you on because I want you to explain a little bit about the NAACP, what they do, how long they've been doing it.
Right. Talk about all the different logistics of our branch
Yes.
and the good work that we're doing. That's fine. You want me to go ahead and start now, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. So, to everybody that's watching, the NACP has been around since 1909. We are the oldest civil rights application group in the United States. Basically, what we try to do is protect people's civil rights. We look to eradicate discriminations and a lot of other injustice or in yeah or bad things that take place that affect the minority community. So basically, we try to make things better.
Hmm.
Yeah. Tiffany is actually our legal redress committee chair, and so what our legal redress committee does is we follow court cases. We also interview law enforcement agencies in our region. We try to work on making sure that the criminal justice policies uh, are better and they work for the minority community. Yeah,
So if somebody wanted to join the NAACP, because I got Darren to join in Maine.
that's awesome. Thank you for being a member, Darren.
Yeah, absolutely. Who would have
Um,
ever thought?
where can they
All
go?
right, that's a great question, Tiffany. So anybody can go online to our website. They just need to look up Winchester area and ACP branch, and there is a membership application link. You just fill it out. Make sure you hit 7127B though. That is our branch identification number. Yeah.
So, hey, what kind of assistance? What kind of assistance do you yield to people? Like, who comes looking for assistance from you guys? Like, who is the main people that that needs your services, or
Another good
that will be getting your service? Like, who are the type of people that would get your services? Like what you guys would do.
So basically, anybody can ask or request for our services. We do receive a lot of complaints for individuals that have been discriminated against at work, within the court system, and within the school system.
Hmm.
And also, uh, this is something that Tiffany and I, we definitely share a bond over. Is dealing with child support, and child protective services, right? I just forwarded her a statement or resolution that the NACP actually provided to all of its units back in 2003. So if you want to bear with me, I can definitely read over that statement. Basically, the NACP is saying that our Black youth are overrepresented in the welfare system, and they gave us some data and some numbers to look at. So this is back in 2003. In 2021, Tiffany, they actually tried to get a bill through Congress that would actually take a parent that's a juvenile parent that's in custody off of child support payments because they're in jail. They don't have a job, right? How can you be paying child support if you're in jail? That's a whole nother topic to discuss as well. All right. So uh,
Well,
It's his work.
that's the people
Yeah,
that they want to take. They want to take those that can pay their child support. So I imagine that they leave those people behind, right? So if
right.
you can't pay your child support while you're in jail, they probably are leaving those kids alone now.
Yes. Yeah, I think
Right.
that bill went through. All right, so it basically states that there are presently about 600,000 children in out of home placements, and 48% of these children are in foster homes, 26% in relative homes, 17% in group homes, and the balance in other types of homes. And according to the 2000 census, 64% of the children in this country are white, 15% are African American, 16% are Hispanic, and 5% are Native American and other. And 42% of the children in the child welfare and foster care systems are African Americans. Okay. So
Mhm.
42%, and this was back in the early 2000s, and it's only saying that we're 15%. So that ratio is top heavy, right? And it definitely shows a disparity in which we know, Tiffany, where child protective services are always aiming at minority community homes. All right, so it says here that 30% are white, 15% are Hispanic, and 7% are Native American and other. So, what are we supposed to do? Well, basically, the NACP says here that the NACP expresses its concerns about the overrepresentation of African Americans in the child welfare and foster care systems and calls upon the Congressional Black Caucus and the Legislative Black Caucus in every state to review the overrepresentation issue and express similar concerns, and that the Washington Bureau of the NACP and Political Action Committee of the state conference review, monitor, and offer amendments or raise objections to any federal and state legislation that may cause a disproportionate number of African American children to enter the foster care system and remain in the system for extended periods of times. And it keeps going. But basically, I'll sum this up as we need to basically monitor what Child Protective Services is doing, right? And making sure they're not taking advantage of our families. Something that Tiffany has been doing for about over 20 some years. Yeah.
Um, I'm so excited that you sent me that email because I'm definitely going to reach out and I want to be a part of this because I've been doing it for over 30 years. Um, but
So
as you know, I am in the Black community because
Yes.
that's where I live. So I know about this.
Hmm.
And I think I sent Darren, I thought I sent it to you, that the American Bar Association has admitted that CPS has been targeting Black and Hispanic kids for over 40 years.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean the numbers. It's crazy because the numbers don't show. If you look at because it's 85,000 African American and 82,000 Spanish, but it doesn't go by that. It goes by the percentage because there's an overwhelmingly white population. So the numbers
Hmm.
don't work. I mean, if you look at it by sheer numbers, it doesn't look the way that you guys are explaining it. But when you look at it as population, as the actual population, then it's a whole different story. Because yes, there are more black
Right.
kids that are be exposed to CPS than white kids. Just proportionately by the percentage numbers. You know what I mean? So that's the one thing that people need
Correct.
to be clear about, because they'll say, no way, there's 160,000 white kids, but there's only 85,000 black kids. Yeah, but there's a pool of 1.7 million white kids to go from and a
Hmm.
pool of only 147,000 black kids to go from. That's where these numbers get drawn from. So people need to
Yeah.
understand that that's how these numbers get drawn. It's not just the numbers themselves. That's because otherwise it doesn't work. So maybe that will help too with you guys explaining to people, because people get a bad taste in their mouth with the NAACP. They're like, oh, they're only protecting them. And then, well, they should, because overwhelmingly these people are being just raked through the coals. But by the numbers, it looks like it's not so. So maybe that's a way that you can emphasize. Yes, there are 160,000 white kids, but there's a pool of X millions. Whereas for the black
Right.
community, there's only like 1 million. You know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
way people get it through their head that they these number things, because I think it turns a lot of people off when they see the 160,000 to 85,000. They're like, this guy's lying. Look at, he's lying blatantly. It says 160,000. You know what I mean? So I think that may help, like with the overall message to get that across and say, like, the population is X of whites and X of blacks, and look at how many kids are being taken.
Right.
Because I know it's in those numbers.
I also think that people have a misconception of the NAACP. Like even I did. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. And actually, how I met Mike was my friend was like, "Contact the NAACP," and I'm like, "Oh, that's a good idea." So I contacted him, and after 10 minutes of talking to me, after we got off the phone, I get a text and it says, "You need to sit on my criminal justice um,
Committee.
committee."
Correct.
And I said, I am white. And he said, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
God, that you can only be black to be with the NAACP, right? So that's how ignorant I was. But it doesn't matter if you're white, Hispanic, black, and it doesn't matter. We
Correct.
investigate all complaints.
We do. We do. We do. And we obtain about 4 to 5 complaints a month, and these are various complaints about different types of discriminations. We've received a lot of discrimination cases from Costco, our local Costco, of all the businesses in our area. Costco keeps coming up, and we've had to go to their headquarters and basically demand that they review the process of how their employees are treated. And of course, they give us back that corporate response. Well, we are all about equity, inclusion, diversity, and we do all these trainings with our managers. And we say, well, hey, step it up a little bit more. I don't want to have to boycott Costco and not get my snacks or my what is it, the
Right.
little taste boosts. Love going to Costco. So yeah, we definitely help everybody. The name is very historic, and I think about in the year 2015, national organization voted to keep the name as it is for historic reasons. You know, but we, like Tiffany says, especially in our branch, because we are in a 99% Caucasian county, both Frederick and Clark County, we have more whites that are advocates in our branch, and we love them, and we'll accept anybody that wants to help, the vision and the mission of the NACP to move forward. Yeah.
But I still feel like I'm your problem child, even though you say I'm not.
We,
He's the elephant in the room.
I definitely wouldn't say problem child. I think Tiffany brings a different. I think you bring a different level of experience and a different level of hunger and a different level of what's the word, tenacity
Sure.
within our branch that we need. Tiffany knows her constitution. When I went to her home to look over a couple cases that we had to follow with and do our investigation, she had the constitution on her wall. I'm like, yeah, Tiffany, we need to stay in contact. We're gonna you know
She lives in the Constitution.
yes, she does. Her house has a wall, the books. Her books probably dated back to 1648 in her home.
Smells of hemp paper.
Pre-constitution. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been to my house. He's seen it. I mean, the first time we went to look over a case, I overwhelmed my poor president. Oh my God. He was like, oh my God. This is
That's
so
a real phone number.
overwhelming. What'd you say?
Right.
I said
Right.
she
But
doesn't have his real phone number, does she?
unfortunately, she does. She has both my numbers, I believe.
You
Yeah.
And his
Yeah.
email.
And the email. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not escaping her grasps.
No. No. But she's
No,
been
no.
she's been very valuable in explaining and educating us on how the Constitution is supposed to work, how we are supposed to invoke our Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. So this has been very, very good. And I'm with her. We've been talking with our local legislators about the abuses of child protective services, right, and the overreach that they have. And we've actually gotten 1 or 2 bills passed right now. Two, that's right, two. And we're looking forward to getting some more. One of those bills is we want to reduce the interest off of what is it, child support
That's
bills.
important.
Here's the reason, right? Here's the reason why. So during the pandemic, I called North Carolina and both Virginia. I called both of their uh, child services departments, and they were like, everything's going to remain the same. Even if you lose your job, a certain percentage is going to go to your child support payments. And I'm like, hold on a second. And what are you going to do about back child support payments in case somebody does lose a job? Well, we'll factor that in case by case. But basically, yes, you're going to have to pay everything in full. You know, and so we want to see that end. You know,
Right,
because
because
one,
they get the reimbursement from Title IV funding for that. Anybody that pays that child support, that money is matched dollar for dollar by the federal dollars, and it comes right
mhm,
back in. That's
mhm,
why you don't see them going after kids in the projects, for instance, because they're not going to pay child support for their kids. They're going after kids that their families are right there, but they're going to pay, they'll spend every dollar that they can on their
right,
kids, child support, whatever it is, because they're getting matched federally funded dollar for dollar for that. If you're not
yeah,
willing to pay that, they're not coming after your kids. And that's the unfortunate part, because the kids
it
that
is
really need this help are not getting it.
exactly, exactly, yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna meet with one of our state senators and talk about those numbers and where the money's going. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because that drives it up too. I mean, they all work hand in hand. Let's get more child support from these people, because then we can get more federal money. It's a
Yes.
it's a double-edged sword for them, and they just keep bouncing it back and forth. And who gets screwed in the end? The kid that got taken by CPS. That's who gets screwed.
Right. Right.
That's it. It's that
Yeah.
one kid that doesn't have a shot at life now because you just ruined him from the trauma and all of the shit that you put him through. Like that's
Yes.
what you've done over a dollar.
Yeah.
Really, that's
Over a
all it's.
dollar. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't want to go off the NACP script, but talking with Tiffany and us doing our research, you know, they talk about child trafficking, like of foreign children. I'm like, no, that's happens right here in the United States with child
Right
protective
now.
services. You
Yep.
know, and this, to me, this goes back to the system of slavery, right? Where how they divided the African American families.
Mhm.
You would take the lighter child out of the home, put them in, they become a house Negro, or you put the darker child into the field. So the same
Mhm.
system now is still incorporated into child protective services, right? And it's a shame.
Yep.
Yeah,
It really is. I mean,
yeah,
I'm a firm believer, and I say this, like what is it going to take for them to break out that it is happening to us here, like me, Tiffany. I don't know
hmm
about you, but like regular American people that haven't done anything wrong, that
right.
like our kids are in essence trafficked. Now, whether or not they're brought into the sex trade or anything like that, that doesn't matter. But the fact that they were taken from us, sold to someone else, that's
hmm
trafficking. Like,
That's
so
trafficking.
people need to understand that that's
Yeah,
that's how it is, because that's really what this is done. Taken from me, sold to a foster family who gets paid for
for
this stuff
right.
happening. This is
hmm
trafficking. So
Yeah,
what is it going to take though for you guys to help with, like, what is your view for the future to help spread this message throughout, like, because people aren't seeing this. They're like people like me. 4 years ago, if you walked up to me and said Child Protective Services took your kid, I'm done talking to you already. I think you're a piece of shit, and you're not even worth my time to listen to you, because
hmm
this great American service helping our children is doing the right thing, and we put the right people in power. And then they came and took my kid, and I said, wow, holy shit, what an asshole I am,
hmm
because this is not what's going on at all. They are stealing people's kids. And it's
yeah,
unfortunate, but that's the way a lot of people get introduced to the system. So how do we get out the word? Because they'll talk about 85,000 immigrant kids have been taken. This amount of kids have been taken. We're not talking about the child a minute in the United States that's taken out of custody of their homes by CPS. We're not talking about that at all. No one's aware of this. It's
right.
not talked about at dinner. They talk about all the poor kids coming up from Mexico and over the southern border and all this
hmm
stuff, but not
hmm
about your next door neighbor that just lost
hmm
their family. They don't
Right.
talk about that. What are things
Yeah.
that you can think of or that you've thought of to try to help spread this word? Like, look, this is it right here.
Well, Darren, you and Tiffany's show it needs to go. What is it called when you break
Viral.
the internet viral? Yeah, we definitely we definitely need to get out of in front of this. And one of the best ways is, like I said, we talk with our local legislators, right, to help them to modify and reform the law so that your neighbor's child is not taken. You know, it is most important that communities understand what is taking place. You know
Mhm.
that In one breath, they're like, "Yes, we're protecting your child." In the second breath, it's like, "Oh, we have to take your child if you don't sign this document." You know, and Tiffany had to call me in the middle of the night as at the hospital. The local hospital was about to take her grandchild. If they didn't sign the form that says, "Hey, this is a safety plan, and you follow it," you know. I'm proud that Tiffany stood up and she fought to keep her grandchild. Uh,
Yep.
because we found out in our investigation that the nurse lied, and the nurse lied based upon the child's name. You know,
Wow.
so
Yeah.
yeah. So I
And
would
this is
tell
going on
everybody,
everywhere.
this is going on everywhere, and I would tell everybody, stop. You know, you do need to listen to the media, but basically, what's happening to our local, families, to me is worse than what's happening to families that are crossing the border. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
here it's like we have certain freedoms, and they're infringing upon those freedoms. Yeah,
Right. They're taking away, they're slowly creeping up so that these rights aren't going to matter anymore because it's like
exactly.
squatting. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They take it so long, eventually those rights are gone and you don't even realize you lost. Look at North Carolina. Look at those poor families in North Carolina that just lost everything. And CPS is up there just snatching kids like they're picking apples.
yeah,
Like they got them right. They got them dead to nuts, but you don't do that to these people. These people just lost everything.
yeah.
And you're going to go up there and act like it's a apple farm. You can just pick out whatever kids you want, and just move
Hmm.
along. It's
Hmm.
disgusting.
It
But
is.
you don't hear that on mainstream media either. You don't hear them
No,
talking about this. No one's
no.
saying a word. And then you get everybody else around like, woohoo, go CPS, you're helping these families. And in the meantime, they don't know these people never get these kids back. They will never
Right.
see their kids again. Once you get your kids in, once they come and touch your child and remove your child from you, you have like a 17% chance of getting your kid back. It's something ridiculous like that. 12%. I'm sorry, my bad. My people were telling me different behind me. You have a 12% chance of getting your kid back. So once they lay hands on them, it's game over. So your best
Right.
your best defense is never allowing them to do that. Like
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
avoid the safety plan. Avoid them at all costs, because they will leave. Eventually they will go, they'll move on to someone else, unfortunately. But like Tiffany's proof, look at they came to her house in force. She's like, Constitution, MFs, get off my lawn, straight up. But that's what more people have to do. It's not being
Yeah.
rude, it's standing up for the rights that you are given by God and our forefathers. Like that's not it. These people cannot touch these things. And if they let them keep taking them, they will.
Yeah. Yeah.
So education is really it.
Education. Yes. Yes.
Um,
And
so there, had he known me, his case would have turned out totally different because
Oh, hell,
I remember Mike texted me. It was in the middle of summer. He's like, "How's your case going?" I said, "I'm on it." He said, "I know you are," and we
yeah.
won.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, Mike, too, you say NAACP to people, and people will shake in their boots. Like
Hmm.
literally, they will. If you give people if you have people have your backing, and you go up, you get treated as a completely different person than if you just went in. You're like, hey, I'm this and this and this. If you're like, hey, I'm such and such, and I have the support of the NAACP, it's a whole different game.
It is. It is. Here's an example. Shenandoah County Public Schools had put on their agenda to return two of their schools, one of the high schools, one of the elementary schools, back to Confederate general names. Now, in 2021, I made a call to the chairman of that board, and we put in a statement. You can hear in the background from one of the persons from the public at the meeting goes, "Oh heck, now you're going to bow down to the NACP." Yeah. So people know we mean business.
Right.
We mean business, and we mean to protect and ensure everybody's civil rights are protected.
So
Yeah.
is it fair to say that our show gets the support of the NAACP?
Yes. Yes. Because you're talking about an issue that is taking advantage and causing disparities within our family units.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
good stuff. That's good stuff.
So,
But we
Mike.
still need more education.
Oh
Yes. Go ahead,
well,
Tiffany.
you. I already told you. You put me in front of these people on national. I will educate them. I'm telling you. You already know I
Yeah.
will. But anyway, since he is in Maine, can we find out who his president is to get him on one of
Yes.
the committees?
Yes.
But what I want him to do, or what I want Darren to do, is be on the team that's that you just sent me the email about CPS so he can volunteer, be an advocate, whatever he has to be for that city or that state.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't mind, Darren, just texting Tiffany. I mean, she already knows probably what city you
Yep.
are, but we can look it up
Yep.
and see. We
Yeah,
had
it's weird too. Yeah, it's different.
okay,
It's weird up here. It's like they're restarting it. It's kind of a really strange situation. But yeah, I definitely will. I will
yeah.
send that to her.
Well,
Um,
each NACP branch is basically, made up of volunteers, right?
right,
And you do have to keep about 50 to 100 volunteers, within your branch. Now, if you do
right,
have your branch can, hire an executive director. So there are paid positions, not many, but there are people that will work, you know, basically and are paid by branches, just depending on how much work that branch has. Now, our branch is getting to that situation where I've had discussions about bringing in an executive director because of the amount of cases that we have had to tackle and the amount of work that we're doing in our area.
right. So
Yeah.
you can only handle so much with the amount of people you have there. So, like you said, you
Yes.
took 3 to 4 cases, I think, or 4 to 8
Hmm.
cases. I don't remember your number. But if you had more people volunteering and helping you, then you could have way more assistance to those that need help. I mean, that's
Yes.
just to be said.
That's very
But
true.
that's like,
Yeah.
people are like, oh, they're only doing this much. They can only do so much. And I'm sure you do a quality job with it. You're not going to
Mhm.
just throw these things through just to pump cases through. You're going to ensure that you
No.
guys go through it with a fine tooth comb and make sure that you make sure the rights of people haven't been violated. And if they
Hmm.
have been, that these people, get that way. But people need to volunteer for the NAACP, is what you guys need.
Yes. Yes, we need more volunteers. We definitely do. We need to spread our social justice footprint in all the areas of the United States. So yeah, and I definitely do. I don't know your case personally, but I definitely, hope that your child is okay and that you will see your child again and be reunited with your child.
I
The
will see
sad,
my child.
yeah, I know. The sad thing about it is like a family that Tiffany and we've been trying to work with. They're from Florida. They are Muslim, and basically they were discriminated against based upon being Muslim. They have three, was it three girls? And we exhausted every type of avenue to try to help them. We even, tried to send the Attorney General of Florida a letter. We reached out to like three different ACB branches uh, to help get their children back. And basically, there's just roadblocks everywhere we went. So it is a struggle to get your child back. And I
Right.
think people need to know that. You know,
Right. Well,
yeah.
I am a firm believer, and I will go so far to say that this is fact, that
Mhm.
this this CPS and what they do funds and makes our economy the way that it is. Like the money coming in from our economy is from the children being trafficked in the United States. There's no way
Yeah.
that's not. You see a 4% increase in every state when their rates go
Mhm.
up to 4% adoption rates, a 4% rate increase. You see it all if you look at all of the things. So this is why it's so difficult, because everybody's got their hand in this stuff. Because one way
Yeah.
or the other, a child funds their group, their whatever they're doing. Like some of that money comes from CPS taking kids and adopting kids. That's where this money comes from. So you don't see a lot of people putting their neck out there and trying to say things because, little Sally Mae's, education fund is going to get cut if she goes up against Child Protective Services because there's going to be no money because that money comes from matching funds. And the funds are just so ginormous. You're talking bajillions. I went so far the other day. I watched an interview with a gentleman that said that the money that CPS gets and obtains matches defense funds, which is the number one funded anything for our country.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's number two behind Department of Justice, but it's right up there. So when they're finding something that funds our military services and they're saying that those numbers match, there's a problem
Hmm. Yeah.
because you're talking
Definitely.
about tanks and planes and bombs and just kids. So how can these numbers be even relevant? Well, the only way they can be relevant is if you're doing shady business and you're stealing kids.
Yeah.
And what did
Yeah.
we come up with? Every minute a child is being taken out of a home in the United States, every 60 seconds, a child is
Yep.
removed from a home in the United States.
Yeah, their numbers are lies. We did it ourselves, did the math ourselves. I'm not like,
Right.
no Edison or anything, I know Einstein, but I know math and I know how to do simple numbers. And like what they had in their little stats, they're like, oh, 73,000, 84% reunification. And blah, blah. They're freaking liars. All you have to do is take their own numbers and do standard math with it before they ruined that in the schools. and because I don't know how they do that new stuff. But all you got to do is add some numbers, subtract and divide, and their numbers are wrong. They're lying. They're blatantly
Well,
lying in their reports that are supposed to be given to Congress as fact.
Right. They're
he knows
inflating the
they're
numbers.
lying. He
Yeah.
knows they're lying. He knows because they tried to discredit me when I said J. Lark, their report came out. You remember that report, Mike?
Yes.
Virginia was 51st in the United States. 60% of children are adopted out here in Virginia. Only 40% of them go home. And they tried to make it like I was lying. But
Right.
the Lark people did their investigation. So somebody's lying, and it's not them. And it wasn't
It ain't no
me.
40%. Right.
Right. Yeah.
And
So
then
It's
I was
crazy.
told in front of him, the president and the vice president, that when CPS gets involved, parents have no rights. I almost lost my shit.
yes, I just told Tiffany, hang in there, hold on.
Yeah.
You know.
That's insane. They told
Yeah.
that. They said that to these people. They said the parents
Yeah.
have no rights once they take their kids.
They said
They
it
did.
to me and
Yeah.
Mike and the vice president.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Lying,
Then Mike
lying,
and
lying.
Mike went with me to see the prosecutor,
Hmm.
right? And he said, "Who told you parents
He
don't
did.
have any rights?" So I told him, and he said, "Tiffany." Now Mike was right there with me because it was my meeting.
Hmm.
You keep teaching people the Constitution. It's the only thing that we have to stand on as we the people. Did he not say that to me?
He did. He did. And he was a little bit shocked too with the information that Tiffany uh, gave him. So
The
I
police
get it.
videos and everything. He saw it
Yeah.
all in real time.
Yeah. He did. He did. And so that ought to tell people something, right? If a child protective services person has to have a sheriff's deputy with them, you know, that ought to tell you about the issues that they're having, right? Anybody trained, and they're supposed to be trained to these individuals are trained probably to try to de-escalate or train, with family services and all that good stuff, right? To basically be mediators with the family, and the problem. But because of what they do in taking the child, that is such a dangerous thing that they have to have a sheriff's deputy. It shouldn't even be that way,
Right.
you know?
You should be welcoming these people.
Right.
You should be like, thank you. You're coming to help me. Thank you so much.
Exactly. Yeah.
The police should be coming to unload their cars for them with the food and the clothing and the stuff that they're bringing from the amount of money that's being dumped into them. That's what they should be being used for.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
once again, you just got to tell all your viewers that they need to get in front of those that make policy, right? And say, hey, we need to reform child protective services. That's basically what we have to do. We have to keep saying that.
I told you, Darren, as soon as this new administration goes in, all the new people going into these offices, we need to get their email address. Everybody needs to start emailing these people.
Yep.
Like I said, don't tell them your story. Just say that this needs to be reformed. This is why.
Mhm.
Because I'm telling you, I've already told you, we've already gotten two things passed here in Virginia, just with
Right.
my daughter's case.
Mhm.
Yep. I think that's important. What you just said too is don't. You obviously will mention your case because your case is the most important thing to you, but don't drown people out by if you're trying to do these things. Don't be like, well, at 3 o'clock in the morning they took my kid. They did. They don't care. What they care about is the end result, and that's not. And I'm not saying they don't care because they do. No, they don't. They don't really care at all. What they care about is what you're trying to say that saves them money, that helps them with time. You have to go there and play their game because they don't have time for you. If you can't tell them that it's saving money or giving them more votes, then they don't have time for you. So they don't have time for your story. What they want to hear is how it helps them and how it saves them money. And then you be in, and then that's it. Unfortunately, that's the truth of the matter. So don't get there and write them a 72-page letter about your story, how they took your kid, or whatever. Use that for a personal experience when you have it with them, if you get that opportunity. But otherwise, they're just going to shut you down. The second they open that up, they're like, "My son was taken." I guarantee you, they change the page, no doubt.
Right.
Because they have to be getting swamped by these emails. They have to be.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, you will find that I have found that even though they're in our certain areas, like our delegates and our senators and whatever, a lot of them, because it's never happened to them. Now, remind you, I told you it doesn't affect them unless it happens to them.
Right. Yep.
But once you start talking to these people and they realize what's really going on, they're like,
Mhm.
oh my God. I had one delegate tell me I didn't even know this was going on. This is my own backyard.
Yep.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
the typical excuse I seem to have gotten in my things, I've written thousands of letters to these people. Every one of them says, I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do about this. I'm like, you're the person that oversees the group that writes the laws for this. How can you do
Right.
nothing? Like, come
Right.
on, man. So to have
Yeah.
like some support by an NAACP group to be able to go in there and be like, look, dude, here's what's up. And the NAACP is sitting right here behind me saying, this is truth, this is fact, and they're here to come in and say, blah 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 blah. I mean, I think that carries a lot of weight for people, a different way. So if these people got
Right.
membership with you guys and signed up and were members, to be able to go and write these letters and say, hey, I'm an NAACP member, and then to put this stuff on, I think it adds a lot of clout to them. So people need to use that resource just for the name alone of being a member of the NAACP and what it does to people when you write a letter, right? Like that's got to
Right.
be huge for people.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. We definitely do or have written letters about local issues and local problems, and some of those letters have been answered. In the early 2000s, our branch there was a robbery that took place in Clark County. Two black individuals and a white individual were a part of this. The two black individuals got the book thrown at them. They got life sentences, while the white individual basically got a slap on the wrist, did some time, got out. Our branch wrote to the governor, pleaded with the governor, and these two young black men were actually they had their cases dropped,
Exonerated. Yep.
exonerated. Correct. That's what I was looking for.
I
Yeah.
thought you were going to say they put the white guy in jail for life.
No, they did not. But right.
Oh.
I do tell people, that's how I got Darren to join. I tell people, become a member of your local NAACP chapter.
Yes. Yeah.
I did too. I was like, I thought being white, I thought it, honestly, I've never thought in a million years that being white in NAACP is not for me. Like that's not, but
Yeah.
lo and behold, and I think that's another thing too that will help people understand, like people,
Mhm.
there is that stigma that you guys have that, oh, it's for blacks, it's for Spanish people. It doesn't help white people, like it doesn't help these other groups. It only helps, immigrants and this type of shit. If you, I hate to say it that white Americans are stupid, but they kind of are. They don't do their own stuff to figure out that this isn't the truth. They just go by
Right.
what everybody says, go by the flow.
Right.
And I think that too, like there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that you guys will help them
Yes.
because based on their skin color, which is a lie.
Yeah. Yeah. We need everybody's voices, and what people need to know if they look at our history is that out of the 9 and 12 founders, uh, it was like 8 Caucasian individuals that helped start the ACB. Yeah.
Go figure, right?
Right.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Well, I'm so happy that my internet has hung on this long. There was a couple seconds that I was nervous because I'm looking forward to this interview all week, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I swear to God, it's what God does to me sometimes to challenge me. It's like,
Mhm.
man, you didn't prepare yourself enough. Look at this. I'm going to take your internet from you. Some way
Right.
this has worked, so I'm great. Um,
Yeah.
I know that you've been busy and everything. I know that Tiff's getting her the little ones are probably gnawing at her shins there. Um, is there anything last questions you want to do for Mike so we can cut him loose, Tiff?
No, I definitely just want to get you hooked up with your president up there so that you
Yeah.
can join one of their committees, hopefully legal redress or criminal justice, so that you can start helping them understand, like I've helped Mike and a couple other people understand what I'm doing. Because I'm telling you, he knows I'm aggressive,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I'm
No,
on it
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
this is
Right.
my passion.
It is.
And I
It
think
is.
I really think that that's the problem with up here in Maine. Honestly, I mean, I think the black population up here is like 4% or something like that. So you can see even when you look at Maine NAACP, they struggle between like their headquarters. They haven't had enough members to stay sponsored, I guess, to stay keep going. So they've just recently have reestablished themselves in Portland. Before it was Bangor, and so I think that's the problem is they don't have that. But I really honestly believe the way that people are educated up here is they don't think the NAACP is for them. And I think that that would be the number one message to get that across to people up here in Maine. Is like, look, dude, I'm a white guy, and the NAACP is for everybody,
For everybody.
and to
Correct.
go on that, and
Yeah.
it's not a racist thing saying that. It's the facts, like you're not trying to
Facts.
be like, oh, it's this or that. It's like, look, this is the facts. They don't believe or they're not educated enough to know that this is for everybody's civil rights, not just, the whatever they are, whoever you are in the community. It's for everyone, not just for special people.
Correct.
So I think that would be
Correct.
a huge thing.
Yes. And I would tell everybody too, if you can get onto your social services committee boards, your local boards, that also look into these issues and matters, that'll help, change a lot of these policies that are affecting us, in the localities that we live in as well.
Mm-hmm.
They won't. They
Absolutely.
won't get me on there because they see me coming. They just they run.
You want to tell them about the meeting we had? So we were just supposed to meet with our Frederick County Social Services Committee chairperson. We walked into the meeting and she had the county attorney there. She had the county planner there. The county manager was there, and we asked, what is this about? and they were like, well, we just wanted to make sure that we can answer any of your concerns and any of your policy questions,
Yeah.
and we just wanted to make sure this would be a good meeting. I was like, okay, yeah, well, let's have this meeting.
They were
Yeah.
scared.
They were scared.
Yeah.
When
That's
they
it.
heard I was coming to that meeting, they had pulled everybody in.
They did.
Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
and
She's a
and it
monster.
worked. Yeah, it worked in our benefit. Being able to talk with all those different local leaders, to tell them what was going on, and we the leader basically of social services said, well, I'll have to get back to my team about this because she didn't know about what was basically taking place. I mean,
Right.
so yeah,
Yeah, I really think that education all the way around. I think because no one understands that things are happening. No one, because I don't think every caseworker's bad either, but they don't know what they're doing. They're not understanding. And the same as the people that work
right,
there, so there's people that are involved in this stuff that just don't know. And how they don't
right,
know, I don't know, but they don't. Either they're stupid or they're just unaware. But to educate everybody and keep passing this stuff on and make this information as fact, like that's the thing too is we need to make sure that people looking when we're talking about the 12% numbers and the child a minute, we can back that up with stuff. We're like,
right,
look, here it is. Here's your numbers. This is, so and people start to look at that and they're like, whoa, that's different because these guys just throwing numbers out at people and they take it, and but it's like we can come through with numbers and be like, look, no, this is really what the reality is, and it's you that's doing this. So let's do this. And that's the I think that's it. It's just education all the way around to people. Um,
yes,
it's not going to be fast. It sucks.
yeah,
I think it's going to start getting faster. You have the lady that was involved in the sex trafficking with the P. Diddy stuff that's come out and now deemed Child Protective Services was the number one
hmm,
group providing him with the children for this freak offs and all this stuff. And I said that I've been saying this all along. I said, you watch, it's going to be CPS that's involved in all this. I mean, their house is getting ready to crumble. We all just need to keep pushing on it a little bit, but it's going to
exactly,
take time because this
yeah,
is a lot of money that they're getting ready to forfeit.
yep,
Um, the last thing I want to say is I want to thank Mike for coming on tonight and sharing with us. And Darren, I'm going to make sure you get on that NAACP chair committee somewhere.
That's right. I'm gonna be on the chair.
there we go.
I'm gonna be up on the stage. Get me up on
Yes,
that
sir.
stage.
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right, Mike, you got anything else you want to say, buddy?
Everybody have a great Thanksgiving
Oh
this
yeah,
week.
that's right. All right.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I look forward to more engagements with you all. And
Yeah.
once again, it's about changing the policies. Get
Yeah.
involved, let your voices be heard. Yeah, and I want to say thank you for having me on your show.
No, thank
This
you
is
for
this is
coming, man.
yeah, this is a privilege.
I mean,
So,
we have a president of the NAACP right here on our show. I mean, that's badass.
yes, sir.
You know.
I appreciate that.
So
You
thank
know,
you very much. I'm going to try to do this right now. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm going to try. Let's see if we can do it like we always do. I'm going to put this tune on. I'm going to see if it works. So cross our fingers.
all right.
And everybody, we
Darren froze.
Yeah, he did. All right.
Thank you
will
for
be
coming
back
on,
the
Mike.
same
You're
time.
welcome. There he is. I think he got a signal.
At least it waited to the end.
We'll be back the same time, same place tomorrow. And then I don't know what she just said to me, but I'm going to do this and I'm going to hope that this works.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you guys very much.
It's okay.
Oh, well, we got there.